Uncle Fool cat. I didn't even know this cat was in this room. But yeah, I did it. Oh man, watch as citizens calmly watch the green wave of energy approach like it's no big deal. Yeah, man, I could be like trying to suck out their energy or something like that. But heck yeah, I finally beat Final Fantasy VII. Turns out the place that I got stuck was the end of the game. But I mean, you saw how much damage that was doing, so you know, I don't know what level I was or what problems I had, but dang. It was a tough fight, but Cloud was oh freaking P, and that was nice. So yeah, little leveling and elixirs helped. I got a ton of levels in that final dungeon there. There was several enemies that gave tons of experience and tons of AP, and so just boosted like all those HP ups and things like that. If I didn't have those, I'd probably get one shot. Omni Slash is so good though, right? It was so good. It wasn't so difficult to get. I would have got it, unsurprisingly. Okay, so onto my thoughts. My overall thoughts on this game is it's a great game. I like it a lot. There's not a whole lot that I feel is worth complaining about. But I'll get into that later, I guess. It's a lot shorter than I thought. One particular streamer that I saw, his completion time was like 28, 29 hours. And I could have beat this game around the 32 hour mark or so. So kind of crazy that this game is much shorter than I originally thought it was, because a lot of people tout this game as being a 50, 60 plus hour game, 100 hour game. And while there may be that amount of content in there, you know, if you just do the main story and a few side quests like I did, you got about a 35 hour to a 40 hour game going here, which is a perfect length for what I wanted to get out of this game. So very, very happy with I guess my experience thus far. Let's see, for the story, was it satisfying? I'm gonna say it was satisfying. I think there could have been more. I kind of want to reduce the volume of this because I feel like it's probably too loud. But if I reduce the volume, it'll probably just go away. So, but I think the story was pretty satisfying. I guess it might have been nice to get, you know, one final chat with Sephiroth or what have you, to close things off. But you know, okay. And we didn't see Aerith at the end there, which kind of sucks. But okay. Did it feel complete? I mean, technically, do we actually know that the planet was saved? Oh, she did appear, but I walked away. My cat was clawing at these freaking boxes and making tons of noise, and had to stop. I didn't even know my cat was in here. So when I was hearing this noise of like cat claws on a box, I was freaking out. Like, is there a freaking possum in here? Or, I don't know what's going on. It was freaking me out. Let me see. Pacing. Pacing was actually okay. I'm actually okay with the pacing. I did some things that took me off the main course there, but for the most part, things are paced out pretty well. They don't take you off the main path too much, although there is some shenanigans, which is fine. For some random thoughts on the story, I was thrown for a loop a few times in there. The twist on who Cloud is was done quite well. I really did like that twist. I thought it was very cleverly done, and it wasn't something that I was expecting. You can actually kind of attribute Cloud's story arc and his memories and things like that kind of to a protagonist who has amnesia. Like, they kind of share a lot of similarities to each other, and in some ways you can actually just say, hey, this is another twist on amnesia, and I like it so much. Let's see. The Aerith death was so iconic for this game. Yeah, I 100% remember Aerith's death. I knew where it was, knew when it was going to happen. So I was waiting for that, and that is definitely what I was referring to as far as, you know, like cultural events that this game has. Aerith dying in this game has surged and just created its own culture for video games. It's kind of crazy. For gameplay mechanics and design, what gameplay elements stand out? There's too many mini games. That's probably my second biggest gripe in this game. Is there's so many mandatory mini games, and some of them are interesting, but none of them are fun for me. The tower defense one, that one's extremely interesting, but it's way too slow. It needs a little bit more polish. So there's that. And oh boy, 500 years later. I like the materia system for the most part. The stat reduction is probably my least favorite part about it, but I can understand why it would be there. And look at that, we actually get the closure that I was looking for. Although I missed some stuff, so you know, life is hard. Oh, he's got little he's got red 14 and 15 right there. Two secret characters is pretty cool, and you can get them very early on as well. I was extremely surprised. Like, I thought that Mysterious Ninja was Yuffie, but I wasn't 100% sure, and so I did a little bit of experimenting there, and it turns out it was something that I could have worked with. So I was like, okay, let me try something out here, and I eventually just got around to recruiting her, and I was very, very happy with that. And then I stumbled upon Vincent too, which was really crazy, and I'm very happy about that as well. It messed you up so bad that you restarted your save file when you were younger because you thought you messed up. Oh man, I bet you a lot of people were going crazy over Aerith's death because, as I mentioned before, and something that I'll be mentioning later, my Final Fantasy VII just crashed. Oh dear. Oh dear. I guess that's fine. I beat the game, and yeah, I'll play some Final Fantasy VII music here. All right. I don't know if you can hear that. I certainly can't. But I was her death is just one of those things where games don't really do that, and so it's really, really a tough thing to reach that. Like, this is in 1997 or something like that. Since when do protagonist characters die? And then especially a character like Aerith, who really kind of tugs on your heartstrings and things like that, and does all the things that make you want to like that character. It's a really, really tragic thing for that, for her basically, and everybody that puts all the time and effort into her. For combat, despite my controller making it difficult, I had a great time with this combat. It's a classic now, but it was fresh back in the day, and it still feels good. I really like this active time battle mechanic, and I think they do a really good job. I had a handicap, which kind of hurt things a little bit, but you know, it was fine. It was fine. I still even managed to squeak out a victory. So, oh happy days. For dungeons, I don't think I had any favorite dungeons or any annoying dungeons off the top of my head. I think all the dungeons were done decently well. Trying to think, but nothing's coming off the top of my head of some dungeons that I really liked or really disliked. And none of them were inflated by backtracking, and I don't think I had any issues with practical dungeon design. Except for maybe one dungeon, but I don't particularly remember that particular dungeon. Let's see. Cardinal Sins. This is the game's biggest fault. This game commits some of the most egregious cardinal sins for me. The first one being removing a key party member without sufficient replacement. Now, you could argue, like, okay, there are plenty of characters in this game, and all of them are very customizable, and so Aerith dying is really not that big of a deal. But everybody's limit break is different. So all in all, Aerith being removed from the game is kind of a huge deal. And it never really should have happened that way. As far as game design. Like, if you're going to do that, you know, give us a replacement or something. Like, help us out. The next one, forcing the player to use certain party members. This surprisingly did not screw me over as many times as I thought it would. But it was obnoxious. You know, I went into this whole thing with the plan of having Yuffie, because once I found out that I got Yuffie, I was like, okay, Yuffie will be my second party member that I'll have. And then I know the game will force some character into my party, so Yuffie will be my locked-in one. But then I found Vincent, and Vincent was pretty good. So I just couldn't actually let go of that. And so every time someone wanted to insert their way into my party, just became annoying. And then the last cardinal sin is backup party members earn less experience. Thankfully, I did not come across anything that required me to use my second party, which I was actually kind of surprised about. I don't know if I did something wrong, or maybe I was supposed to swap to them or something like that, but I was very happy that I didn't have to do that. So I didn't have to waste any time leveling them up or anything like that. But I'm always of the opinion backup party members should earn full experience to allow you to swap between them whenever you want, so that you can use whatever character you want for whatever situation you feel is necessary. For miscellaneous and sound, for music specifically, godlike video game music. When I think of the best video game music of all time, Final Fantasy VII is on that list. It is, without a doubt, the video game that got me in to video game music as a whole, and it is still some of the most iconic music I have ever heard. And like, I'm playing it right now because I have the original soundtrack for it. It's that good that you just have to buy it, you know? It's so amazing. For voice acting, there is no voice acting, but there isn't a silent protagonist. So whoop whoop. Having no silent protagonist is it's just so refreshing, you know? I feel so close to Cloud than any other silent protagonist that there ever was, all of them combined. For graphics, I used a mod to improve the textures, and I've been quite happy with those improvements. And I actually want to show what said mod is. That way people can get a decent look for it. You can find this at cappedrobao.blogspot.com. He's done a couple of mods and whatnot, but for the most part, it's just a texture bump. So like right here, you can kind of get a decent look here at kind of like the texture changes. You could see on the left hand side, it's a little bit more pixelated, but on the right hand side, you know, it's a little bit more crisp. There's really no pixelation whatsoever there. So it's super nice. This one's kind of more difficult to get a good look at, but there is definitely a difference of what you're looking at. And then this one's probably the biggest change of looks you're going to see. You can see like the bars right over there on the normal Final Fantasy VII side. They're very jagged, but with the Remako mod, you know, they're extremely smooth. So that's just a couple examples of what this mod did for this, and it made it look like nostalgia. If you think back to Final Fantasy VII, this is what you think it looks like, even though it doesn't look like that at all. So I was very happy with this mod. It was a sucker foo to install, and I'm going to get rid of it as soon as I'm done playing this, but I'm happy with what I got. So we'll get rid of that. And for replay value, I don't think there's really any replay value in this game. Playing the game, like when I weigh replay value, I'm looking for a different experience, and I think you can do different things, but when you're at the end of the game, right before you go inside the crater to Sephiroth, you can do all of those things. So it's really not necessary to play the game again. And if the developer is watching, this is a super fun game. I definitely think it deserves the praise it gets/has gotten. It has a fun combat system and fun supporting systems. It's just a really good game, you know. It may not be like the best game in the world. It does do some annoying things. It has several cardinal sins that really tie down the game as far as enjoyment. It has mini games that it just forces on you that could be very challenging for you. But at the same time, a lot of the core functionality and just the core systems of the game are really, really good. And the story is really enjoyable to experience as well. So I don't know, what else do you need to just have a fun and enjoyable gaming experience other than that? I mean, every game's going to have something that you're not going to like, except for a certain game with an arachnid in it. That one's just perfect. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for Final Fantasy VII. Quite happy to have finally finished this. Cannot wait for Final Fantasy VII Remake to come out. It's only going to be the Midgar portion, I'm guessing. You know, it's going to be an episodic game, so we're going to have to wait several years before we get, maybe several decades for the pessimists, or not the pessimists, well, y'all know the word out there. For the whole catalog to basically come out. So yeah, that'll wrap it up for me. I will be back Monday to probably play like Smash Brothers or something like that, play a game that I haven't played. And on Wednesday, I will see what happens. And look at that, we're dropping frames at the perfect time. So yeah, this is where my thoughts end.